I'm Rachel McLeod, licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. And today I'm talking with you about the number one reason that a diet could be the worst thing for you. And, you know, I want you to reach your health goals, and I am cheering for you. I really want you to get that. I mean, you deserve to be healthy and radiant, and that's why I'm talking about this. And I'm talking about this specifically because, I think that people have tried so many things, right, to get healthy and get well, but diets are not for everybody right now. And as a matter of fact, starting a diet could really set you back, could be the worst thing for you out of all of your options. And I know that's crazy because, if you're really wanting to get back on a diet, probably your doctor's encouraging you, and probably your family members are hopeful that this time, everybody wants you to be healthy. Everyone wants you to be around. Everyone wants you to be radiant and wonderful and living your best life. And I want that for you too. And what happens is that people, when they think about their health goals, they think, okay, I need to find a diet. So you start looking online, you start reading what you're reading, you start asking people around you, you see people that are losing weight, what are you doing? And you really can start to plan for a diet. But let me start by saying that I know that I just had this conversation with one of my coaching clients right now, and who is getting wonderful results and wanted to jump into a diet, and was even in the first week of a diet. And I'm like, hold up. And I was not very popular in that moment. So if she's watching this anyway, she'll crack up, because I talked her out of it. And this is why. This is hard for me to explain. I really hemmed and hawed in how I was going to do this. And with her in particular, I've had 7 weeks to build language and skills and help her to see this big picture. And that's really the block here, but I'm just going to give this my best shot. So some people, food is just food to some people, right? And they can decide what they're going to eat and what they're not going to eat. For many people, especially the people that I work with, food is not just food. Food is safety. Food is security. Food is power. Food is feeling good, right? Food is comfort. Food is doing a lot for people, right? And so what you're talking about with a diet is to take that away and control that, which means what you're doing is you're taking away your comfort, you're taking away your security, you're taking away your power, you're taking away your good feelings, and that's a lot. That is really triggering. You're basically taking a box, and where all your trauma is, and all your anxiety, and everything that that you're taking, and you're putting some food on top of that, and you've got all your favorite cravings and snacks and all that stuff. You're putting it on top of that, and when you're eating on that box is staying closed, right? And it's good. Like you can, you've had a hard day, you come home from work, your brain, when you start to relax, wants to open the box and get in there and do some work, because it wants to help you heal, and it's got all these ideas for you, and oh my gosh, we're going to do this. But what happens in that box is that there's some really painful things in there, or there's distressing things, or there's shame, or there's guilt, or there's whatever. So what happens is your survival center is like, if you go in that box, we will not make it. We will not survive. As a matter of fact, we will die. We will be obliterated, and we may not be able to survive. And that actually could be more real than not, right? Not just that. I mean, let's just be real. Many people are sitting on some really painful events that your brain has not yet figured out how to resolve. Okay. And the other part is that sometimes if you talk to any trauma worker, trauma specialist worth their salt, they will tell you that opening trauma at the wrong time can be destabilizing. People go into residential treatment for that, right? You have to be careful when you're opening the box. And if you're using food to sit on top of that box's lid, There's a reason, and it's a good reason. And so, but here you go, you're gonna start this diet. Okay, I'm gonna back up. So we've got your box, right? You've got your plate of food on top of there, or your bowl, or your ice cream, or whatever awesome thing is in there. And your prefrontal cortex says, let's get in that bowl, let's get in that box and open it up. And you say, not today. And you start adding food in there. And so you sit that food right on top there and you just eat that mindlessly while you're watching TV. And because of the busyness and because of the other reasons that it turns that part of the brain off. And so it can't get in there and open up all your stuff and look at all your problems and keep you awake all night, which is, that's another video. But so you're doing that and you're getting to calm down and relax without opening up the box of worries and trauma and unresolved issues that you have. And now, and you're surviving like this. And now I don't want you to live like this. This is not my plan for you. This is not what you envision. This is what causes people all kinds of health problems, is this scenario right here. And this is what has people trapped in emotional eating. And so when you are going to go take on a diet, what you're basically doing is you are saying, no, we're not doing that. So what happens now, you're at night and you're going to not give into snacking. And so guess what? Your brain says, oh my gosh, let's get in there. And you open up the box and out pops, you're so unworthy. You're just a slut. Remember that time you did this, and oh my gosh, and your kids, you're ruining your kids. You're never going to be good enough. Maybe they'd be better without you, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? You're hit with all this stuff. This is pressing all your emotional buttons because that stuff is bad. This is stuff that's been said to you like 20 years ago. This is stuff that's in here that's been, you're redoing. When that box opens, you're revisiting memories or like situations where you made mistakes over and over and over again, all your regret, all this stuff, and it's there. And now it's out, and now there's this box, and your brain, your survival center is like, hey, we're not okay. We're not okay. We're not okay. Hey, remember that food? Remember that food? Hey, guess what? If we go get that food, we can turn all this stuff off and we will be okay. We'll make it. We'll survive. We'll get there another day. Hey, yeah, we can do this tomorrow. Remember that time? And then your subconscious mind wants to help you out here too. So it's flashing all of those donuts and all of those cookies. And you can even almost smell them. Yeah, the brain does that. And all this, and you're remembering this, and everybody, your survival center and your subconscious mind is like, turn it off, make it stop, and it's looking for the one way or any of the ways that help you fix that. And if you've had success with food fixing that, your brain is hardwired to seek that out. And so when you're hardwired to seek that out, you got powerful forces, not this guy. This guy's like, no, we got health goals. We've got a plan. Let's stick to the plan. Everybody stay on the plan. And that's your prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of the brain you really want to be able to use. But these guys, when they're freaking out, they are pressuring you day and night, night and day. Now you're having dreams about all the food. You're having stress dreams. You're having nightmares. You're really kicking up some stuff. And this is why people are also using alcohol and marijuana and all kinds of other substances, because that box is a box of pain. And humans will do anything to get out of pain, including sabotage other areas of their life, right? Their health, their relationships, right? Because the pain has to be turned off, okay? And let me tell you, going on a diet can kick up so much emotional and mental distress for you that it can send you way backwards. It can knock you so far off. It is re-traumatizing, and it can really devastate you and knock you off your path. Okay? And that is why I do not like my clients who are not yet ready to start a diet. And that is why I want to tell you that I'm doing this video because I want you to know that it may not be the right time for you to do a diet. For many people, if you've got this box of unresolved stuff in your world, and it's going to open up a whole bag of worms for you. I'm thinking. the best thing you can do is to start working through the box. Because you've got players going on who are neurotic, right? This one is neurotically wants in that box. It wants to fix the stuff in there. This guy neurotically wants no one to touch that stuff. And your subconscious mind is just, is just running the program. It's running all the stories. How you believe about the world, what you think it needs to be, making sure that it looks like it's supposed to look, right? So if it thinks that you need to be fat and powerless and all that stuff, it's working night and day to make sure you do that, right? So that's a really powerful force as well. And so, so the real thing is you got to get ready for this. A diet is not just a diet for you. If you're like, yes, that's what's happening in my, the diet is not just a diet for you. A diet is opening, is opening up a whole thing of pain and anguish for you. That's not how it's supposed to be. That's not it. And so you're not the same as everybody else. And, my mom used to tell me, I was like, but everybody else and she said, well, is your name everybody else? So guess what? You're not everybody else. And if you've tried a diet 3 times and can't follow through with it, then chances are there's underlying issues that you need to deal with, and they can be dealt with. And it's much faster to deal with the underlying issues than to try and fail 10 more diets and go in and out of this horrible place and this horrible feeling and this weight. And it's so difficult. And let me tell you what, you don't want to fight this guy. Your survival center, you don't want to fight that one. Work with your survival center. I'm telling you, it's like 3,000 times easier to work with your survival center. And that one cannot be convinced. It's very difficult to resist that one. And it's not logical and it's not reasonable. You have to start working with that part of the brain in the way that it understands. And that takes some training and some time, but it's absolutely doable. People are doing this. And if they're doing it, you can do it. You might. I used to be a brat to my brother. I was the oldest, and I had this motto, like, if you can do it, I can do it better, Terrible. Anyway, but perhaps if they're doing it, maybe you can do it even better, or maybe if they're getting these results, maybe you can get those results, or maybe if they're getting wonderful results, maybe you can get a 2/3 of their result. Like, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that when you start to work on the box, then you get to transform your brain to work in the way that the people that are successful with their health goals is working. People with this box of trauma, anxiety, and depression, your brain is not even functioning the way that someone without this box is functioning. Seriously, you are walking around with a brain that is firing off much differently than other people's brains who don't have a box load of unresolved trauma. And that's just a fact. And, a great book to see the pictures of this, is The Body Keeps the Score. Great book, awesome book. And in there, you get to see pictures of brains under MRIs. And you realize, oh my gosh, like, this is what my brain, this is your brain on trauma. Like, it's really a real different thing. And how not fair is that? You're supposed to go to a diet with a brain that is functioning under the influence of trauma. And all these other people are on the covers of books and they're doing all these diets and they're having so much fun and their body's cut and chiseled. Guess what? Their brain looks different. Their brain is actually firing differently. Their brain is wired different than your brain is. And your brain wants to heal like that too. That's what all the stuff in the box is. That's just a container that we're supposed to be working through, not where we're supposed to hold things for the rest of our life. Please resolve that. Then I'm going to be like, get that diet, whatever you want to do. There's wonderful ways of eating out there. There's the keto, there's this, there's that. I don't even know them all. I just don't. But, but there's intuitional eating. There's so many wonderful things you can do, but don't underestimate the fact that your brain isn't working the same way. Don't underestimate the fact that your anxiety is going to require work, right? Your anxiety is going to require you to put it out. It's like a fire in your brain. Depression, it's kind of like a fire in your brain too. Nobody's going to sit around with a fire in their house and sit in the front door and just do nothing. It's like, oh yeah, look. No, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do to put this out? Oh, okay, let's throw some donuts on top of that. Oh my gosh, yeah, let's throw some, some sweet tea on top of that. Oh, look, fire's out. It's great. Okay? Like, that's a real process. That is a lot of what people are experiencing. That's why people use substances. And Renee, I see that this is what you're going through right now. Even as a nutritionist, maybe that's what that says. And exactly, no matter what field we're in, therapists have this struggle. Doctors have this struggle. Naturopaths have this struggle. It doesn't matter what you are. I mean, humans are humans. Our brains don't function well with unresolved trauma in them because this part of the brain is fixated on resolving that trauma. And this part of the brain is fixated on making sure that never happens again. But guess what? Once this part of the brain resolves the problem, it goes through the healing pathways, gets up there, and that one does its magic because that's your inner healer. Then it helps reprogram this part of the brain so that it doesn't see that as a danger anymore. And so that way the very same thing can happen, but it doesn't trigger off the survival mode, the fight, flight, freeze, or faint. And so all of a sudden, the same things happen, but you're not irritable. You're not having an angry outburst. Your brain isn't saying, oh, we're not okay, go get that food. And guess what? It's a lot easier to resolve your health issues and emotional eating when you're healthy and the box is empty. Or, stuff's in there for a short amount of times, right? You got to get that old stuff out of there. This part of the brain is like, once it works on it, it just throws things in the garbage. It's the powerhouse of all this stuff. And when everybody's not working together, it doesn't get to do what it does. There's beliefs in your subconscious mind that have been programmed there that are absolutely sabotaging you. It sabotages all of us. When we find them, we know. But this part of the brain is the one that once it becomes aware of it, it really does the healing work and gets that out of the picture and will discard it. It's like brain trash. It takes out the trash. It's nice. And it's also, it goes in there and all that material that is in those painful events, it constructs them and it says, ooh, we want this piece. We want this piece. Oh, that piece we don't need anymore. This one, we're gonna play with that one a little bit here. Okay, we're gonna keep it. Okay. And then it hooks it up to your neural pathways and gives you a brain upgrade. And that upgrade is what aligns your survival center and your subconscious mind into alignment with your goals, into alignment with the person that you know you want to be and the person that you know you can be. All of a sudden, your subconscious mind is on the same page, and your survival center is on the same page, and then your thinking center already has all these plans, and things just move forward. So, because people can only tolerate a certain amount of emotional distress at a time, when you take on a diet, especially if this is who you are, if you're somebody who has a box full of stuff, when you take on that, you are taking on the box. And so when you're taking on the box, you better be ready to rock and roll with that box, because there's a lot of energy in there and there's a lot of emotional distress. And so there are ways to do that piece by piece. Right? And you can do a lot of that before you even start the diet. That way that there's so much less emotional distress involved. Like, wouldn't it be nice if you could actually just choose some food and eat it? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you could actually just stay with it? I mean, it's so much easier when you're not dragging around the emotional box, the emotional baggage, right? And that's when you're ready, when you're like, oh, hey, I've built these skills, I've gotten through a lot of this box, I'm healing these things emotionally, and I think I can do this. I think I can do this diet. Now, the next step is for you to see the diet as a place to find all of your triggers. Don't see the diet as a chance to lose weight. That's not what it's there for. Not if you've got trauma, and not if you've got trauma around food and around dieting. If you go into that, you are in for a roller coaster of ups and downs, because the first things you're going to be doing is dealing with, you're going to be triggering the mess out of yourself, right? And there's a time and a place to do that. But when you're ready, that's what you're doing. You're going to start that diet as an opportunity to find your emotional wounds that you didn't find the first round. Because I'll tell you what, when you're getting out of your comfort zone, whenever you hit out of your comfort zone, that's when all this stuff comes at you. That's when your survival center freaks back out. It's like, hey, I don't know if we're safe over here. And that's where, when you get the chance to use the skills that you've got to be able to do that brain work, and to be able to, you have to be able to start generating your own feelings of comfort, your own feelings of affirmation, your own feelings of safety, because that's what the food is there for, right? The food is there to help you feel safe and to really comfort you. Sometimes the food is there because that your happiness is linked there. You've got to start linking your happiness from within. That's where your happiness is supposed to come from. And that's something that happens in early childhood. Parents hook that up for you, but sometimes parents don't, or sometimes trauma comes along and just knocks that off. And we've got to rebuild that, because you need your happiness to come from you. You need your peace and your comfort to come from inside of you. You need your ability to be affirmed to come from within you. It's okay to get it from the outside, and that's what food's doing for you right now. That's okay, but eventually we want to pull it in more and more, so more is coming out of you, and more is just naturally you, and so you're meeting your own needs. And then guess what? Your brain is like, oh, this is doing that thing that food was doing. That's nice. And it's making those connections, and it's wiring that in. And so when you get distressed again, it's going for, oh, we need to put this out, and it might just say, which it will, hey, how about you do that thing that you do that helps us calm down? And then you're like, yeah, that's a great idea. And you're doing that. And pretty soon you're paving that in, and you're solidifying that self-care, that self-ability to regulate, to bring in calm and move out of distress and resolve distress. That's what we're looking for here. That's what you can't get from a diet. You cannot get that from a diet. You can get the opposite of that. You can get further from that from a diet. You can get, so I think you've got me there, because I would go off on that. But so what I'm telling you is, resolve your emotional wellness issues at the root. A lot of times when we get in there, I mean, it's so wonderful. You just resolve like 4 or 5 things, and there's a whole different picture at the surface. So we go deep, resolve some things, we come back to the top, and there's a whole different picture. It's amazing. And so, but when you do that, you set yourself up to be able to reach your health goals. So I was saying that when you start a diet, you're looking at this diet not as a way to lose weight, but as a way to find your emotional wounds and become even more emotionally well. And you basically, there's a path between you and emotional health, and you need to clear that path out. And there, in that path, is a lot of subconscious brain trash. There's a lot of beliefs and expectations people have on you, you have on you. There's a lot of mental blocks here, and things that you got to clear that out, because it's blocked. If it wasn't blocked, you would already be there. But it's not, you're not there, so it's blocking you, and you got to clear those blocks out. That's what the diet is for when it's time. And that, can you see how that's emotional work? That's a lot of emotional work. That's what you're working against every time you go on a diet. You're working on safety. You're working on all the expectations, the subconscious beliefs, all your habits, your patterns, your anxieties, your cravings, your self-love. Like, you got to have that in there. Otherwise, you'll sabotage yourself. And that's what we're working for. We're looking for, and we're hunting down sabotage. I think I'm listing out the things, and I'm hearing myself, and I'm like, I'm getting overwhelmed. So that's why I wait, and I encourage people to do the preliminary work first before they tackle the emotional work that's going to come with that diet. So does that make sense? Do you have any questions? I want you to go ahead and put those questions right now. I will answer them if they get on before I get off. So I got a little cold over here. So that's it. I want you to be successful. I really do. I think it's wonderful to eat well. I think it's wonderful to be able to exercise. I think it's wonderful to be able to work towards your health goals. And I want you to have the foundation to be able to do that and do that successfully. Right? So if this is something you want to talk with me about, if you're like, oh my gosh, Rachel, yes, I absolutely have a box that keeps opening and it is sabotaging me, and I really don't know how to do that. And you want to talk with me to really help you create a plan to get from where you are now, has you stuck, what's not working for you, and then really the next step is, where do you want to go? Where will your life be without this problem? Let's find that out. Let's clarify that, because once you know where you're going, it's so much easier to get there. And then the third thing that I'll do with you is we'll create a plan to get there. And I do this for free, and because this is my way of giving back. This is my way of making the world a better place. And I love the idea of improving children's lives by helping their parents be emotionally well. So that's what I'm in this for. And I also know that some of you may want my help to do this, and I want to talk with you about that as well. And if not, that's okay too. We just need you moving forward. We need you healing. There's so much that you are meant to do here. And what you are meant to do is not sit and suffer with this stuff and drag around all this emotional and mental baggage. No, that's not what you're here for. So I don't see any questions, so I'm going to jump off. And if you have questions, I want you to go ahead and post them below. I am watching. I will respond. And that's it. So I will see you around. I hope this has shifted you. I hope this has helped you see that you are not the problem, that your trauma is the problem. Your anxiety, your depression is the problem. It is not you. You are fine. When you get through this, as a matter of fact, you will be soaring. Because let me tell you how strong you are, because you've been carrying all that emotional baggage around. You know? It's real. So when you can access that and use all that, you're going to see. So that's it for me. I will see you around. Take care.